was 8 years old, I was given piano lessons. Music was in the family. My older brother is a wonderful trumpet player, and I studied for a couple of years, 10 years old, but then what happened is when I was looking out the window, practicing after school at 3 o'clock, all the kids were playing ball, stickball and stoop ball, and having fun, Bensonhurst, Brooklyn. You know, I said, this is ridiculous. My brother was away in the Army, in the armed services at the time, my older brother. So I went to my father and I said, Dad, you know, I hate music. Music's not for me, Dad. It's just, you know, I really want to quit my piano lessons. Is that okay, Dad? Yeah, it's fine. What it really was, the fine was he was going to save $5 a week, you see, in piano lessons. At that time, things were pretty tough. Meanwhile, so now I'm a happy camper. You know, 6 months, no piano lessons. Boy, but I got into stickball. My brother comes home from the Army and says, Angelo, how you doing on the piano? Oh, Steve, awful. You know, piano is not for me. Music's not for me, Steve. Oh, really? You quit your lessons? Yeah. Dad said it was okay. We'll see about that. Well, I went to my parents, and I was forced to take lessons again. Now, I'm 12 years old, I'm junior high school, and I play the piano in school, and all of a sudden, a girl would come sit next to me on the bench. I'd go home and practice more for a couple of weeks, and the better I got, the more girls sat on benches. Well, then that was it. Then it was music forever. Early on, I was into everything in music. You know, I played piano for singers, dancers, and did arrangements, orchestrations, lots of recordings, lots of songwriting. A lot of black soul, pop female artists would be recording my songs. You know, people like Nancy Wilson and Nina Simone and just some Roberta Flack. And so I was getting, you know, recordings as a songwriter, and then I was up in Palomar Pictures, which was a company owned by Bristol Myers. There was a man named Ed Sherrick was the boss. One day, Ossie Davis, the director, you know, he was married to Ruby Dee, this very classy man, was directing a black exploitation film called Gordon's War. That was the time of Superfly and all of that. And I read the script. It was just on a desk. I had never done a film or anything like that at that time. But I read the script, and I was inspired to write a couple of themes based on what I read. And I wrote a couple of themes, one for the female character and one for the dope addicts on the street in Harlem. And Ossie was walking around. He finished shooting the film, and I called him. I said, hey, Ossie, do you mind coming into the piano room? I read this script, and I wrote a couple of themes. He said, Angelo, he said, it's very nice of you, but the film is done, and I've got Barry White to do the music. It's 20th Century Fox, and he's with the label, and he's so excited, and he's going to be doing the music. I said, Ossie, would you just listen to the couple of themes? He said, besides, it's an all-brother film. You have to understand that, Angelo. Would you mind, Ossie? Such a classy man. He came over. Sat at the piano, and I said, here's a theme for the girl. You know, I was a child of tomorrow, whatever. Wow, that's perfect for the girl. And here's for the pimps on the street. Come on and dream some paradise. Dream, dream, dream of paradise. The time is right. Grab a little happiness tonight. He said, wow, that's drug addicts and the whole thing. He said, you captured it. This is marvelous, but I have a problem. You know, other than telling Barry, you're not a brother. I said, Ossie, my roots are Sicilian. If you look on a map, you look at Sicily in the tip of Africa, you take 4 little strokes across that little pond in there. Now, Ossie, I may not be your brother, but I'm certainly your cousin. He said, cousin, do the score. That was the end of that. True story. And then the most important thing as far as film is concerned was meeting with David Lynch, which goes back to the days of Blue Velvet, which is like 1985, 1986. I received a phone call from my friend Peter Runfellow and Fred Caruso. Fred was the line producer for Dino De Laurentiis on Blue Velvet. Fred and Peter called me at home and said, Angelo, David Lynch is having a little trouble with Isabella Rossellini. She has to sing the song Blue Velvet. And we've had a lot of people work with her. They've even had some musicians come in from the coast. This is in North Carolina. And David's not happy with how she's delivering the song, and she's not happy. And we know that you work with singers. Can you come down tomorrow morning? I said, oh, no, come on, you can get anybody to do that. Coach a singer on something. No, Angelo, we've tried, it hasn't worked. So anyway, I went down, I met with Isabella. We stayed in a room with a piano, and we worked on the song Blue Velvet. I had a little cassette on top of the piano, and we worked for a couple of hours, and I coached her to sing it. We have a nice recording of her singing, me playing piano and Isabella singing. Fred comes, he said, let's go say hello to David. He was shooting the last scene of Blue Velvet. We go on the set, I say hello to David. David said, he doesn't know me, I don't know him. Hello, hello. He puts on his earphones, and he listens to this whole thing, and he says those famous words, this is Peachy Keen, this is the ticket. So, I'm from Bensonhurst, Brooklyn. I asked Fred Caruso, I said, Fred, what is the Peachy Keen? This is a ticket. He said, he adores it. And that's it. David then later said when he heard that, he could have put that cassette that we did there right into the movie, and then all she would have to do is dub it. But that was the start of it with David. Blue Velvet was the only piece of material that we did in a traditional composer-director way, because it was our first meeting. After that, with Twin Peaks and everything else, we had such a great relationship that it was just a matter of David sitting next to me and talking to me. And I would take his words and translate that into music. So regarding Mulholland Drive, he said, we need to incorporate, it has to incorporate multi-styles of music. And Mulholland Drive, the Mulholland Drive theme, this was before David even started shooting anything. We were in the studio in New York doing another project, and David said it should be a sad but beautiful darkness, and a little ominous, and also should have Russian feelings. Well, that's kind of interesting, sad, beautiful, and Russian. And there was a synthesizer in the room, and the engineer, and I told him his name was Artie Palemis, and I just started playing. Also to have jazzy stuff, jazzy, quirky kind of stuff, like that main theme, the Jitterbug, where all these teenage girls are dancing the Lindy Hop. And you think it's a regular Benny Goodman Jitterbug, and then the thing goes berserk. Horns blaring, dissonance, and that, kind of give you a feeling, hey man, this is not such a little, this movie's gonna go somewhere. And then, of course, there were all these other themes that were required, a classical theme for Camilla and Betty. And then he says, I'm also, looking, I know I'm going to need a theme for Betty, the beautiful ingenue young Betty on her way to the hopeful dream of making it in Hollywood. That's a whole other kind of a thing.
Oh, I can't.
We went to Prague, and we had the Prague Symphony Orchestra. And David said, Angelo, I need some firewood. I said, what do you mean, what firewood? He said, I just need you to make some long tracks, very slow, with very low instruments. I said, you mean like the cello and the basses and maybe the bassoon and contrabassoon and contrabass clarinet, you know, down in hell? Yeah, just those instruments, you know, no violins, no piccolos. And record me like 10 minutes of music, very slow, and use a click track. So I wrote these long, as they say, music whole notes tied, you know, all over the place for these instruments. They would have to, I don't know where they had time to breathe, but they found little spaces in between the brass players and woodwinds anyway. And I would record this 10 minutes of maybe, you know, maybe a total of 20 minutes twice, right? He said, that's good, Angelo. And then he said that this is going to work out great. And then what he did later was he took those same bottomy things and then he turned them, he said to the engineer, play this back half speed. Now you're going to play what's all the way down there, half speed. Suddenly, from the bottom, you're way below bottom, right there. You know. Then he said to the engineer, that really sounds cool, really cool. But now can you make it quarter speed? Quarter speed? Well, it was down there, right? Now, David, from that 10 minutes, suddenly has a 15, 20-minute track of this undulating, slow, rumbling sounds. And then David, who's a genius in design as well, he just took a lot of that stuff and mixed in some of his other sound effects, and he made that work in so many places. Luigi Castellani. This is a very interesting story, and I was working on a project with David in that same New York studio, and we had a break, and we were sitting on the couch together, and it was one of those kind of two-seateds where David was a foot away from me, and I just happened to, you know, we were having kind of a lunch break and just talking, and I said, David, you're not going to believe what happened. I said, with this guy I met who lived in up in New York, in New Jersey, and northern New Jersey, and I was playing, years ago I used to play piano for his wife, who was a singer and a dancer. And his wife said, Angelo, I would love to invite you to my home for dinner, and I'd like you to meet my husband. Sure. She gives me the address. I drive up this long driveway, northern New Jersey. Long driveway, and there are cars outside, Mercedes, Rolls Royce, Lamborghini. Man comes out, opens my car door, welcome, sir. Go into this mansion, wide open. The young lady singer, wife, comes out, oh, Angelo, it's so great, you know, you're here, and you're gonna have dinner with us, and it was just gonna be, you know, the four of us. So we're sitting there, she introduced me to him, and I'm telling David, I reached out to shake his hand. I'll call him Joey. It's not his real name. Nice to meet you, Joey. He doesn't shake my hand, he says,
Stigliani brothers. Let me introduce you around. Oh, please. Just take a seat.
We sit down, having dinner, and the singer, dancer, she's full of life and blah, blah, blah. And he's sitting there eating some soup. Not a word. Now, this is getting to be a little uncomfortable. Joey, I must say, in your basement, the brickwork is incredible. I just can't help but thinking that maybe you're a little bit of a builder and a contractor. Are you a mason? Sort of. So David is just looking at me like this, right?
May I offer you gentlemen anything?
Espresso.
Nothing.
David then comes back to me, I don't know, 9 months later or something. Angelo, I'm gonna do this movie. I want you to be in it. Hey, thanks a lot for inviting me to do the music, David. You know, I really appreciate that. Yeah, you're gonna do the music, but I want you to act in it. What? I'm not an actor, man. Come on, you know, I'm not an actor. No, you could do this. I'll tell you exactly what to do. You remember that story you told me about that man you met? You know, of questionable repute? Joey? And the way you were looking at me and the way he spoke, that's the man I want you to be in this movie. And David said, then you're gonna do the scene. You're not gonna say much. You're gonna say, this is the girl. And then I'm gonna give you something to do, but I'm not gonna tell you what it is until we shoot. Okay. They dress me up, I walk in, sit at the table, and then he says, Angelo, they're gonna bring out, or they're gonna ask for some coffee, and you're a gourmet coffee drinker, and you only have to have the best, or somebody's gonna be in trouble. And you just be that man. And then you're gonna take a sip, and you're gonna roll it around your mouth and spit it out. Huh? Yeah, that's what you're gonna do, Angelo.
Shit.
That's it. That was the end of my acting career. David said, I'm never gonna hire you again as an actor. I said, why? Because you told the cameraman how you want it shot. You went to my mixing person. You told him how you want this mixed, how you want it edited.